Hey, I'm John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life, and today we're going to be talking about cable attachments. I was watching a recent episode of Garage Gym Radio, and in the episode, Jake mentioned that he's got a pretty extensive cable attachment collection, which makes sense because having a lot of cable attachments is a great way to not only keep your training fun, but also help you continue to make progress in your training, because as long as your muscles are inefficient at doing a movement, they're going to be forced to get bigger and stronger in order to do that movement. One of the best ways to keep your muscles inefficient is to constantly switch up the attachment you're using to do those movements. So I say all that to say, I've got some of the cable attachments that I have in my home gym here, and then the rest of them are on the wall behind me. And we're going to go through my cable attachments, talk about what each one does, how I use them in my training, and maybe that'll spark some ideas for you guys in your training. So let's go ahead and get started. So here on the table, we've got the flat lat tricep bar from 4-6 Fitness. You can see they've got their branding here on the bottom. And in fact, this branding right here, let me flip this upside down. So this bridge piece is very important because the earlier versions of this flat lat tricep bar is made by a different brand, but they didn't have this little bridge right here. And so there were complaints from people that these bars were bending and some of them were breaking. And so I really like that 4-6 Fitness has put this bridge under here because this makes it a much more stable product. I also like the fact that it's got 3 different attachment points here up on the top, because let's say you've got a functional trainer where the cables are coming from both sides. You can hook them at different points here, and also if you have cable that's too long, you can basically decide which attachment point you want to use depending on the length of your cable. So there's that. But anyway, the way that I like to use this is, ironically, although it is considered a pull down bar, I don't like using it for pull downs this way. Instead, I like to put my hands on the side, and so I'm kind of pulling it down with my hands in neutral position. It hits a little bit more mid-back, but it just feels better to me. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't use it for pull downs this way, but I almost never hold it this way because that's just not comfortable to me. Again, this is the flat lat tricep bar from 4-6 Fitness, and he's got tricep in the name, so yes, you can use it for tricep press downs as well. I just tend to use it primarily as a bar for lat training, simply because I also have this flat tricep bar, also from 4-6 Fitness. Again, it's got the bridge on the bottom, and it's got the 3 attachment points to give you options. So the way that I like using it is typically as part of a triset, and actually I'll use it in conjunction with another bar that is behind me here on the wall. So let me go ahead and get that bar. So this is technically an easy curl bar, okay? But I use it for tricep work because it's got this revolving handle. This is a Play It Again Sports special. So I don't even know how long I've had this thing. But anyway, one of my favorite trisets I read about on T-Nation years ago. I don't know if it was Ian King or Charles Poliquin who wrote the article, but basically what you want to do is you start out with your palms up and you do a set of 10, and then you would switch your hands around, do a set with your palms down in close, and then you'd flip the bar again and do your final set of 10 without resting, with your palms facing down but out wide. But if I want to inject a little bit of variety beyond that, I'll do the beginning part of the set with my palms up with this easy curl bar, and then I'll grab the flat tricep bar and I will finish the set out with this. So then my hands will be in close, then I'll widen them out and do the rest of my set this way. So that's a really good tricep, that's a whole lot harder to say than you would think, but that's a really good tricep, and I really like the different stimulus that I get from using this bar, even if I use it just for straight sets. Okay, the next bar I have is the D handle bar. This is from GymPin. So this bar, ironically enough, when I first got it, I thought, I didn't ask them anything about it. Like I normally don't ask brands about the product. I want to kind of discover it for myself unless I encounter a problem. So when I saw these holes, you know, That's why some people call it the holy bar. So I saw these holes. I naturally assumed that these are so you can decide which cable attachment points you want to use, so you can get different leverage stimulus depending on what you're doing. Well, then I eventually contacted GymPin and I just asked them, I said, well, why are these holes in there? And Ben from GymPin told me that they actually put these holes in there to reduce the weight of the bar for shipping purposes, but that just ended up being a nice coincidence that they also serve as really good attachment points. So you can attach a carabiner here and one here. You can put them equidistant from each other, it doesn't matter. So you can get tons of training variety just with this one bar because of all the holes in it, and I really like it for that. What I typically use it for would be rows, and I will use this bar for lat pull downs with my palms facing me, unlike the flat lat tricep bar. And I also will use it for a rowing motion where I lay down on the bench press and I row it down, and that helps me practice engaging my lats in the bench press. Is a really, really good exercise. If you've never tried it, I encourage you to try it. All you're gonna need to do is hook the carabiners here, hook some bands to it, and that way you have tension, you just pull down. It's really, really good movement, highly recommend it. All right, next on the table, this is the short ab strap from Spud Inc. And although it is technically for abdominal work, Spud Bartley designed it so that it would be versatile. And so I use this for tricep push downs. And the reason why I like it is because I can fit my hands in here, press down, and then you can get a nice good squeeze at the bottom, which you can't really get with anything that's like a fixed tricep bar. So I really like it for that. I've had this thing for several years. I really don't even know how long I've had it, but because of that, it feels really good in my hand. It's been worn smooth. But because we've had it for so long, it's a little bit too slick, and so that's why my wife got this, which does basically the same thing. This is, I believe it's an Amazon brand, but it's Eclipse Fitness. You can see that it's a little bit thinner. Also, her hands are smaller than mine, so it's a little bit more comfortable for her to use this one compared to this one, whereas for me, it's more comfortable to use this one because this strap is a little bit wider. So they do the same thing, but that's why we have two of them. Next on the table, this one has a lot of sentimental value because I got this when I was working at Marietta Power. This is actually a DIY piece. My foreman at the time, his name was Shane Cantrell, we all called him Spanky. He worked out as well, and so I mentioned to him that on the next payday, I was going to go and buy a tricep rope for push downs. And so he went and got a collar rope off the back of the truck and braided this in front of me. And my mind just blew because it never occurred to me that you could just braid the rope to do this. Now I know how to do it, but I still keep this one because of the sentimental value. So if you have smaller hands, obviously you can grab the rope here, but I prefer to grab it in the fatter part like this. And again, I use this to get that squeeze at the bottom of the movement. Now, the limitation of this is that if I wanted to do something like a cable kickback, I would have to either use it as a single attachment where I would grab the rope above the fat part and just do it one arm at a time, but that's a little bit time consuming. Or I could instead use the attachment that's next to it on the table, and that is the Tri-Grip double length rope, and this came from GymPin. Now let me show you how long this thing is. It says double length for a reason. Look how long that is. All right, so what I really like about this is not only does the rope have a thicker diameter, so it actually feels better in my hand. If the rope is too thin when you're trying to grab it, you can actually get a little bit of hand pain, but it's nice and thick, and so I'm able to use it for, of course, any kind of kickback, like I said, because I've got room when I bend over, there's room for my chest to get in the middle of it, and so I'm able to do tricep kickbacks at the same time with this, unlike the other rope attachment I have. This is too short. I can't do both hands at the same time. I have to go one hand at a time. But with this, I can go two hands at the same time. Conversely, this is too long for me to comfortably do tricep push downs with it because I always end up having way too much slack. There's not enough tension at the bottom of the movement with our current cable setup. So that's why we have both of these, but they each serve their own purpose. And again, it's all about variety. So moving to the next item. I don't know what this is called. And I believe we got it at Play Against Sports maybe in 2013, 2014. I'm not sure, but what I love about it is it's got multiple attachment points. Once again, you guys see that every time something's got multiple attachment points, I'm a big fan of that because it gives me variety. Also, because it's got the multiple attachment points, I can actually hook the carabiners like this to shorten it if I need to. The other thing I really like about it, you guys can see how chewed up the handle is because I've had it for so long, but it's still holding up. It's got these fat handles there, so that makes this really good for any kind of sled dragging. I attach these to the sled, and then I can drag it. I can also use it for any kind of low cable rows. That's really good for this. Also, I can use the tri-grip double length rope for low cable rows as well. That's really good for that as well. I forgot to mention that. But this is outstanding for low cable rows. And again, it's got different attachment points, so you can decide how much tension and slack you want. Play It Against Sports special. All right, so the next two pieces on the table do roughly the same thing. So we'll start with this one. This is the Hamstinger, and it's another piece from Spud Inc. We've had it for a while. This one is an ankle cuff from D-Moose, which is an Amazon brand. Okay, so I'm going to put this one down for a second and tell you about the Hamstinger. So the Hamstinger, the way that it works is you open it up, put your heel here, and then you close this over the top of your foot, and you can do standing leg curls. I guess you could do seated leg curls, but obviously the weight is going to be pulling from this direction, and then so you only do one leg at a time, unfortunately, but it's a very versatile piece. You can do standing leg curls, seated leg curls. You can probably do lying leg curls with it as well. And then you can also do a straight leg kickback. So, a little bit of creativity, you end up being able to do a lot of stuff with it. But that's the Hamstinger. Now, because of how our gym is set up, we're limited on space. We kind of have attachments all over the place. So my wife didn't realize that we had this. And so that's why she purchased this ankle cuff from D-Moose, which does roughly the same thing, but we kept it because it also allows you to do adduction, abduction, which is a little bit more difficult to do with the Hamstinger. Okay? Now, next two pieces here. This is the 10 millimeter ball grip, and these are from GymPin. I've actually only had these for a little while, so I haven't really played with them a lot. But I envision them, in addition to being used for something like a cable pushdown, I can also use them for farmer carries. And then also, if I want to attach them to my multi-grip bar, I can use them to do chin-ups. So that's the kind of thing that if you're like doing like obstacle course races or something, that's going to be something that you're going to want to practice, because they do have those. I've done obstacle course race and I encountered obstacles like these, and if your grip isn't strong enough to handle it, you're going to be in trouble. You could probably also do, now this is just me brainstorming in the moment, but you can also do reverse curls with them, and this is really going to challenge your grip in your forearm. It's probably going to be really good for elbow health too, to just use these. So I'm looking forward to playing with these. Okay. This is technically not a cable attachment. This is technically designed to be used with a loading pin. This is the Trilobyte handle from Barrel Strength Systems. So this is similar to the Rolling Thunder. You see how thick the handle is? This is a 3-inch handle. It feels really good in the hand, okay, because it's designed for grip sport. But I realized once I got it that I can use it as a fat handle version of this, which is yet another Play It Against Sports special. This is Cat Barbell. We've had this for years. I've done zero maintenance on it. I really like the fact that there's knurling right here to keep your hands from slipping if you get sweaty. I've even used these as like makeshift gymnastics rings, and I've done the same thing with the Trilobyte handle. So basically anything I can do with this, I can do with this. So I've used it for lateral raises, one-arm cable curls. I've also got a nice little tricep, another one. One of my fraternity brothers taught me in college. His name is Kelsey Watson. So since I didn't know what the name of it was, I call them Kelsey Watsons. Basically, you start out with your arm overhead, you do a cable push out, then you turn around, you get your palm up, and you go do 10 of these, and then without resting, you turn your palm over and do 10 more. That will give you a sick tricep pump. Of course, then you switch and do the other side. But anyway, so that's why I use these two different pieces here. All right, let's put this up. Now we're gonna go back this way. So this is essentially the same thing as this. So let's go ahead and get these both off here. All right, so this is a cable row handle, and so is this. This is from Cap Barbell, which means it's a Play It Again Sports special. You guys see, it's noticing a trend here. We go to Play It Again Sports a lot, especially when we were first setting up our home gym. We got a lot of pieces from Play It Again Sports. So you see the comfort grip right there. And once again, that's to prevent your hands from slipping when they get sweaty. Although this is for cable rows, I do enjoy using them for neutral grip pull downs because that's going to hit the mid back. The thing is, the reason why we have this and this is the Iron Legend handle from Bare Steel Equipment. All right, I personally prefer this one to this one, but my wife likes this one more than this one. So we kept both of them. So I already told you about this one. Now I'll tell you about this one. All right, so the reason why I like the Bare Steel piece is because I have more room. I'm a little bit wider than my wife. Okay, I'm a lot wider than my wife. And so this feels better to me because it gives me better range of motion. With the other one, I feel constricted. All right, so that it's like my arms can't move freely. But with this, my arms move freely. This is actually a replica of the style of handle that they used for cable rows in pumping iron. So while I'm not as big as Arnold, I appreciate this as much as he did. And so when I was mentioning that I like to use this for neutral grip pull downs, I actually use this piece for the neutral grip pull downs. And so this is one of my favorite pieces. They actually have a version 2 out, but this is version 1. It's very light, and I love this. Welding looks good to me, and there are no moving parts, so that means very low maintenance. I am a fan of that. All right, these are the final pieces here. So we really don't use this a whole lot. This came with a functional trainer that we were doing a review on. But what we like about it is not only there you go, multiple attachment points, but also the handle gets a little bit thicker in the middle, and it gives you a little different stimulus in the hand, which means, of course, that means your muscles activate in a different way if you're using this than if I were using these handles that are a little bit longer. So that's pretty much why we kept it, okay? All right, so there you have it. That is my current attachment collection in a nutshell. Now, what I want to know from you guys is, what attachments do you have in your home gym? What's your favorite one? In fact, tell me that. Drop a comment. Let me know what's your favorite cable attachment, or what is the next cable attachment you're planning to buy. Drop that in the comment section and let us know.